What we know clearly from the science now is that most people with COVID have no symptoms at all,
yes,
but they are infectious. And that's why testing and tracing those with symptoms and without is so key to controlling it. Now, since you last came before the committee, we've expanded testing capacity enormously, and we're testing more per head than countries like Germany and Spain. Yet this week, even people with COVID symptoms in Kent are being told they've got to go to Cornwall or Scotland for a test, or being told that there isn't one available at all. So do we have currently enough testing capacity available?
No, the short answer to that is no, we don't. And we don't have enough testing capacity now because in an ideal world I would like to test absolutely everybody that wants a test immediately.
So when will we have that capacity?
Let's be in no doubt that, however, that there has been a massive increase in testing capacity. It's gone up from 2,000
acknowledge
March
that,
to
following the chairman's directions. Let's consider when will the capacity be in place?
We will be up at 500,000 by the end of October.
By the end of October. The Health Secretary told the Health Select Committee that it would be within 2 weeks. What's happened since then? Why has it been put back?
Sorry, what would be?
A week ago, Matt Hancock told the Health and Social Care Select Committee that the problem would be solved within 2 weeks from then. That's a week from now. What's happened from now till then to make it go?
Well, I said, great respect, I said we'd be up at 500,000 a day by the end of October.
I dropped my daughter off with my granddaughter.
Yeah.
She was about 350 people behind all these to be told that they cannot get tested because they don't have enough. They only had enough tests to do for about 150 people.
Wow.
The lady in front of her had been here 5 days on the trot with her littlers and couldn't get tested. Another guy had been queuing since 4:30 in the morning to get tested.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. There's just no testing areas, and here they stop walk-in testing about 10:30 in the morning. Everything is appointments only.
They said because the labs couldn't turn them around, so they can't give anyone, and you have to make an appointment. They can't turn the test around.
What does that mean for you and the people you look after?
It's not on, because obviously in health and social care you need to go in and get tested when you need to go and get tested.
Okay. And 500,000 a day, will that be enough to meet the demands that you project at that time?
Well, we sincerely hope so, but what has happened is that demand has massively accelerated just in the last couple of weeks. And if you look at the graphs of people either asking for a test, getting on the website, ringing up for a test, they're going up.
And why do you think that is, Professor?
And I think the reasons for that are, I think that many people are seeking to get a test in the hope that they can thereby be released to get on with their lives in the normal way. And people who have come into contact with someone who has tested positive, for instance, they're seeking to get a test to ensure that they're okay to go to work. And that is perfectly reasonable. And I understand why people are doing that. But the advice and the guidance is that people should seek a test not in those circumstances, but when they have symptoms. And what we're setting out today, or setting out very shortly, is the priority of the groups that we think should have tests, and the Health Secretary will be setting that out. As they do in Germany, we'll be starting with those who have symptoms, which are clearly the group that needs to have tests.
I've got a child who's coughing. He's had a high temperature. He's supposed to be in school. What do you want me to do? Just leave him out of school for indefinite?
Khalees was sent home from school because somebody in her class had the virus. I've got COPD and a lung problem, and she lives with us. I'm about 75.
How worried are you?
Well, I'm concerned, honestly, really concerned.
And I think that in the case of schools, for instance, it's very important that people teachers, parents should look at the guidance about the Public Health England guidance, the guidance from NHS Test and Trace about when you should get a test.
So if, taking the schools, is it the case that if whole classes are sent home to isolate for 2 weeks because someone has a cough in the class, if that's going to happen, are we not just going to be in a kind of rolling system of school shutdowns that's going to wreck education for the year?
That would be wrong, and that should not be happening, because the reasons for sending such a class home or a bubble home would be if, as I say, if somebody tests positive.
But the whole class has to go.
If somebody tests positive who's been in contact with the rest of their bubble, then they have to. Then the rest of the bubble has to self-isolate.
But they have to go while they're waiting for the test. They have to go while the person is waiting for the test.
No,
so
they have
symptoms.
to,
then
they should go. They should go in the event of a positive test.
So they shouldn't vacate the school or the class until that person with symptoms has been tested positive.
That's correct, and if I may say, I think it would be of great advantage to the committee to consult the guidance that's been issued by Public Health England and NHS Test and Trace on that precise matter.
On the 500,000 figure, scientists on SAGE have said that 500,000 people a day will have symptoms consistent with COVID in a normal winter, a winter without COVID being present. So if the target is 500,000 by October, all that will do is to deal with the people who have symptoms, coughs and colds that they get anyway. So that won't be enough to deal with the additional risk of people with COVID symptoms, will it?
We believe that with the additional tests that we're laying on by ramping up NHS Test and Trace, we can make a very substantial difference. But you're making an entirely reasonable point. That's why it's vital, and you're making a point about the big increase in demand that we're seeing. That's why it's vital that those specifically with COVID symptoms should seek a test, and you should take steps that those who've been in contact with somebody who's tested positive should only do so, should self-isolate on the basis, as I say, of a positive test.